raw key of the planar world hummed a ceaseless song of harmony around my mountain redoubt, an almost unbearable pressure that I had meticulously learned to channel, to fiber, to defy. My key experiments had progressed beyond mere cloaking and environmental manipulation. I now sought to directly touch the collective consciousness of this world, not with brute force, but with the insidious precision of my will. My objective, psychological infiltration. On the vast holographic map that spanned the central chamber of my lab, thousands of harmonious settlements pulsed with soft, synchronized key signatures. My gaze, sharp as a laser, passed over them, assessing. I needed a target, not a grand city, not a nexus of power that would draw immediate, overwhelming retaliation from Arden. No. My first strike would be a scalpel, not a hammer. I selected a small, remote settlement nestled within a valley where the key flow was stable and predictable. Its collective consciousness radiating a purity of harmony that bordered on blandness. Its isolation was perfect, less immediate collateral detection, easier to penetrate. Their absolute contentment would make the introduction of discord all the more jarring, the effects more measurable. This was not about destruction. This was about understanding how harmony truly broke. Nadine, I articulated. The command rippling through the quiet lab: prepare primary key broadcast array, calibrate for deep non-physical penetration, target designated coordinates, initiate psychological dissonance sequence. Her avatar shimmered, processing complex algorithms. The broadcast array, a new addition to my lab, extended from the ceiling. A cluster of shimmering, multifaceted crystals, each attuned to a different key frequency. These were not the crude speakers of old, they were resonators, designated to resonate directly with the key-attuned thought patterns of the planar world's inhabitants. My fingers, moving with unerring precision, fine-tuned the parameters. The subliminal tones I had once mastered were now translated into discordant key frequencies. These were not chaotic blasts, but subtle modulations, specific counterharmonics designed to introduce static into the seamless flow of thought. Imagine a perfectly tuned instrument suddenly struck by a micro-vibration, too small to be heard, but just enough to cause a fleeting dissonance in its pure tone. This was my weapon. The strike was launched, a focused beam of modulated key, invisible and silent, extended from my mountain redoubt, piercing the vast distance with terrifying speed. Nadine's advanced key scans provided real-time feedback, showing me the target settlement in exquisite detail. The inhabitants moved through their days in placid contentment, their collective key signatures flowing in a seamless, unbroken current of harmony. They were preparing communal meals, engaging in tranquil discussions, tending to bioluminescent gardens, utterly, beautifully unaware. Then, the discordant frequencies hit. It was not an explosion. There was no physical manifestation, no visible rupture in the air. The effect was far more insidious, more precise. I watched the subtle shifts on my readout, translating the key fluctuations into observable human behavior. A child, laughing as it chased a ball of light, suddenly stumbled. A flicker of unbidden fear crossing its face before it quickly returned to play, dismissing the feeling as a momentary chill. An adult engaged in a serene discussion with a neighbor paused mid-sentence, a fleeting expression of confusion clouding their features before they smoothly resumed, barely missing a beat. In a communal garden, a gardener tending to glowing flora suddenly glanced over their shoulder, a ripple of mild paranoia manifesting as they felt an inexplicable sense of being watched, despite the empty air around them. The effects were minor, fleeting, easily dismissed by the inhabitants as odd sensations, momentary lapses, but they were measurable. My systems registered the minute spikes in their individual key signatures, the momentary disruption in their synchronized collective. The harmonious flow had been momentarily fractured, their internal balance suddenly, precisely disturbed. A ghost of unease had been sown. My cold satisfaction was absolute. The success confirmed my power to manipulate living, key-attuned minds. The architect of dissonance had made his first mark. Far from my remote bastion, the syndicate of weavers registered the subtle blips. This was no longer just the lingering resonance of the great unveiling, nor the environmental anomalies of my earlier tests. This was a direct, targeted discord, centered around a living settlement. A small one, yes, but a settlement nonetheless. The collective consciousness, usually a vast, calm ocean, felt a tremor. This was more concerning. They recognized it as an active force, something deliberately introducing disharmony. Their probes, which had been passive and inquisitive, now became more direct, more focused. They began to attempt to isolate the source, sending out more concentrated tendrils of key awareness, attempting to pinpoint the origin of the discord. But my cloaking, refined during my early experiments, was effective. They did not identify me. They did not identify my redoubt. They only knew something was doing this. An unknown force actively introducing malevolence into their harmonious reality. I sensed their escalated response. Their more direct probes brushed against my shielded outer perimeter, not with aggression, but with a heightened sense of inquiry. I processed the data they yielded, their methods of detection, their patterns of investigation, their attempts at reharmonization, all invaluable intelligence. My precision was key here. I had to be just disruptive enough to register, to get noticed, to force their hand, but not so overt as to reveal my exact location or the full extent of my capabilities. The game was intensifying. The successful strike amplified my ambition. I saw the potential to dismantle Arden's harmony from within, to unravel the very fabric of his perfect world, not with crude force, but with the insidious power of psychological discord. The constant mental strain of combating the pervasive key remained, a gnawing pressure, but it was amplified by the thrill of the direct engagement with the sentient minds. My ability to maintain control amidst this pressure was a testament to my evolving demigod status. My contempt for these inhabitants' fragile harmony deepened. They were merely unwitting test subjects, pawns in a cosmic game whose rules they couldn't even begin to comprehend. My thoughts, ever sharp, constantly returned to Arden. I knew these stronger blips, these precise intrusions into the collective consciousness, would register on his prime filter. This was my direct challenge to him. I envisioned Arden, his vast, all-encompassing awareness perceiving these new, unsettling ripples across his perfect tapestry. He would respond. He would be forced to acknowledge me, not as a fading anomaly, but as a deliberate, intelligent force, an equal contender in a game he believed only he could play. I anticipated his response, calculating his likely moves, his methods of counter-detection, his subtle interventions. After a calculated duration, I pulled back my direct projection. The discordant frequency ceased. The small settlement slowly returned to its previous state of placid harmony as the Weavers' passive reharmonization efforts smoothed over the lingering dissonance. But I knew the seed of discord had been planted. The planar world in Arden would now become more acutely aware. I stood before my vast viewport, gazing out at the desolate grandeur of the mountain peaks, a chilling sense of accomplishment settling over me. The first strike was a success. The architect of dissonance had revealed his hand, however subtly. Arden was watching. Good, let him watch. Our purpose was clear.